So I can't stop thinking about the movie Top Gun 2. I was able to watch it the other night, and it wasn't a movie that I really wanted to watch, but a group of friends had invited me to go watch it with them. And it's been forever since I've seen an adult movie. I don't even remember when it was the last time. It's got to be like 5 years. And I was so overwhelmed by this movie because it exceeded my expectations and more. So it is very much a superficial movie, if you allow it to be, and the cheesiness of Top Gun, but it changes in the middle where it actually gets deeper, and it's so deep on so many different levels. And I'll share some of those with you. But this movie was also very entertaining, and you can laugh about it and not think if you didn't want to, but it is deeper than you think. And love him or not, Tom Cruise is a master. And this is his comeback movie, definitely. So I got another insight with this movie from a face reading perspective. So face reading, it can be done on so many levels. And sometimes when I watch a movie, I'm like, oh, it's so good that they chose this person for this cast because it's perfect. So I had to give props to the casting people because the Top Gun, the younger pilots, like Navy SEALs or Top Gun or anything like that, they have to be strong, right? And they have to make fast decisions. And the characteristic that this character has to have are very wood in their elemental Chinese charts. So the wood element is about leadership, making fast decisions, being strong, being leaders, and being grounded. And so the characteristics in the face for that is the jawbone. It has to have a strong jawbone, okay, because that means strength. The forehead tends to be more maybe a slant or straight because they're action takers. And most of the time they'll be shorter because they'll take shorter action. And most of these characters had that wood quality. Now the big quality for wood too is in their eyes. So there's this thing called Shen, the amount that you live from your heart. And so there's some big eyes, where like you look at them and they're just kind. And there's like this mysterious Shen, and then there's like this, it's called peach Shen, and that's like the fire element, and something about them is just alluring. Wood has a very intense Shen. So Tom Cruise has wood Shen. The eyes are more almond shaped, they're more focused, and so sometimes when you look at this, the people with a strong wood element, they're very intense. They can scare you off. They can seem very direct. And so a lot of these characters had the wood Shen. Okay, short forehead, okay, strong jawbone. Wood character tends to have not as thicker lips because they're very much more action takers than talkers, and sometimes they have a hard time identifying with their emotions. So that's just like the short stuff on the wood element, okay? So all these characters had that. And what I really loved was how they had shown the older characters like Val Kilmer, Jennifer Connelly, Ed Harris, and of course Tom Cruise, and how they aged. Many of them have wood elements too, but the softening of the wood element as time ages is so beautiful. Now, I'm gonna go off on a tangent too, because the movie, I just had so many scattered thoughts with it. But I love seeing the older characters develop, and so that there's wisdom in their eyes, and so they're still intense, but not as intense. Jennifer Connelly's eyes, though, are a little bit different. She's got these hooks on them, and that just means a person that has great communication details and hones in on details and brings beauty to things and can have the power to say snipey things to get back at someone because they know their pain points. She's got these big, beautiful eyes and those points where I kept looking at them, and that is called the inner canis. Okay, so some people will have more of a roundedness to it, but the more sharp they are, the more attention they are, and they're also better at like conveying communication techniques. So Tom Cruise has this too, and so that's why he's so good at like when he directs a movie such that he can get like an idea across. So I love seeing Val Kilmer, and many will probably say that he didn't age as well. He went from a very woody face to water, and as we get older, our faces tend to go to water or earth. Okay, and so water is more of like amorphous, where it like blends in, and so like from our 3D world and beauty, such that that's not maybe as beautiful, but it's actually more intuitive. It's softening, and it is more creative as well. And it's also tenacity and determination and survival. And in Top Gun 2, Ice's character has a lot of wisdom, and he's the one that saves Tom Cruise all the time. And I loved seeing his character in this, even though it's very short moments, but it's actually quite powerful. And I do love like how his face has amorphosized, moving from wood to water. Now, Tom Cruise really hasn't aged that much. He looks great for being in his 50s, right? And he's got one of the most symmetrical faces in Hollywood. And symmetry in face reading, how it's perceived is that you're more beautiful. And so, yeah, you know, he's like been in the 50 most beautiful in the world or whatever so many times, right? In like from Time magazine. And so that's one of the reasons. So there is a character that they didn't show that much, Ed Harris. Ed Harris has a lot of lines on him, and he is a cross between wood and metal. Metal has to do with grief and sadness, also like purpose and seeing a higher vision. And I really haven't seen Ed Harris in a lot of movies recently. And before that, I only think maybe had like maybe 3 movies with him. Now I look back at his history and why he chose the movies he did, and how perfectionist he is. So I'd be interested to do like maybe a closer picture of him now and like all his lines and look at it, because lines are repeated actions that we do, right? So that's why it imprints on us. And sometimes they fade if we can learn to let go, and sometimes they stay for the lessons that we're supposed to have. So he's got a lot of lines where they're like grief lines and sorrow lines. Also, there's joy lines as well. And so he's really been able to process some of these emotions. And there's just so much. And like, another person I can characterize with like these lines that just show you wisdom and compassion is Mother Teresa. You know, she's got all those lines, and people could probably argue it's because she's out in the sun or whatever working it, but she's found her purpose, you know. And so that's the same thing with Ed Harris's character, and he's got those nice compassionate eyes too in that same way. So now I'm going on another tangent, is the process of aging. You know, our society doesn't want to age, right? And we're doing all these things for perseverance. And there's a lot of belief that as we age, we get worse. We get more sick and our body breaks down or whatever. But that's because of the programming that has been instilled in us. But these characters have actually showed us the reverse, that what if you get better as you age? What if you get ageless as you age? And there's more compassion and wisdom. I wouldn't want to go back to my 20s for sure, you know, knowing what I know now. And accepting all those lines. And what if your prime isn't your 20s and 30s, but it's actually 45 to 65? 45 to 65 is your prime. And that's what I'm reprogramming myself as right now. And sometimes your body has to break down so that it can get better. And so these characters, I believe, are in their prime now. You know, I love the youth and all the young energy. Okay. Oh, and in that movie, they have the most beautiful spray tans, you guys. The most beautiful spray tans and the most beautiful smiles and white teeth. And so that just made my metal element go crazy and just like in satisfaction and bliss. Just because I do spray tans and teeth whitening at the moment. So, and you can have perfect spray tans and teeth as well. Come to see me if you're in the Denver area. So, I'm going off on a tangent now. But I am really challenging you to go watch Top Gun just for the pure enjoyment of it, and also rephrase your, repattern your thinking, undo the thinking that as you age, you get worse. You actually get better, because Tom Cruise's character, he's 50 years old, but he teaches these young people and he shows them that they can take it to the limit and that you're only limited by your thoughts and what you believe. And he trains them to be better, and he only can have that because of his age and experience. And I believe he's just better than he's ever been in this movie, and it just shows you how aging can be however you choose it to be and experience. So that's my review on Top Gun 2. I probably will go rewatch it, because sometimes when you see things for the second time, you see things for the first time. So it's the perfect movie for this time right now, as we want to get into renewal, back into life, embracing life again, and how you choose to embrace life, and that you can exceed your limits, and you can become anything you want, and to take yourself to the edge. And you too can be a Top Gun.